Well, happy Monday, everybody. We are in November now, November 4th. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know I did. Got to spend the weekends with the boys and give the wife some some space, right? Again, for anybody that needs a DAT subscription, 10% off your monthly. Okay, link down below. If you need factoring, in my humble opinion, Operfi is the best factoring company out there. Check them out. Of course, the guys over at eCarrierCheck, I've turned a few people onto it recently, and they're just amazed at the wealth of resources and information and tools that are available there. It pays for itself, right? Like within days. So, as long as you're using it, actively, tons of shipper leads, you can source carriers, brokers, all kinds of stuff, right? So it would behoove you, if you don't already have any of those and need them, check. I have links in the description down below for you. So moving on. So court data has revealed the extent of truck lease program abuse, and the FMCSA Task Force Subcommittee says carriers gain competitive advantage by exploiting. By exploiting owner operators. Okay, some of you probably might be a little bit aware of this, but maybe not. A study of public data filed in court cases alleging abuse of drivers participating in truck lease purchase programs with carriers estimates that the extent of predatory lease contracts in the industry approaches 6% of all CDL holders. Okay, such rampant abuse by carriers makes the industry less safe by causing qualified drivers to leave the profession. Okay, while drivers stuck in such contracts may be more likely to be less safe on the road, according to the FMCSA Truck Leasing Task Force. All right. There are many weeks when drivers in these lease purchase programs earn very little to no pay at all. Okay, said task force member Steve. Boy, I hate some of these names because I slaughter them, and I apologize. Viscelli, a research sociologist at the University of Pennsylvania, speaking to a group meeting on Wednesday. We can imagine some of the stress that puts on people and decisions they're going to make with regards to safety, right? As a quick little side note for all of this, don't ever do anything to jeopardize your safety, right? I too many horror stories. I want everybody to be safe out there. Get back home to your friends, family, your loved ones. Don't take shortcuts. Okay, don't do anything to jeopardize. Litigation data compiled with the TLTF and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, a federal agency supporting the group's work, reveals over 200,000 drivers out of 3.5 million CDL holders who potentially are involved in predatory truck leases. Probably the tip of the iceberg of the number of drivers actually affected, Viscelli said. So right now they have sort of a rough estimate of 200,000 drivers, but they're saying like this is just potentially the tip of the iceberg, right? Like there could be many, many more. Viscelli's role on TLTF's Public Courts Data Subcommittee, which presented its results to the full committee on Wednesday, was to look at driver experiences and how drivers were getting into lease purchase agreements, the consequences in terms of their career trajectory, and the economic impacts. All right, just a handful of drivers out of thousands that appeared to participate in these lease purchase programs actually completed them successfully, suggesting that the turnover rates are extraordinarily high and the likelihood of success extraordinarily low, he said. Even when drivers completed them successfully, the available evidence suggests that they were actually working for significantly less pay than they would have as a comparable employee. By examining court case data, Viscelli and the subcommittee found that lease purchase contracts were structured such that drivers at times were far more productive than the average productivity for a fleet. Okay. They were working harder, working more days, and were earning less than they would have as even a trainee at some of these companies. After meeting those lease costs and obligations for fuel, insurance, and all of their other expenses, he said, so owner operators in these agreements were providing these trucking companies a tremendous competitive advantage in terms of labor costs, while frankly working their butts off. Okay, this is just another example out of many, where drivers, owner operators, carriers get taken advantage of, right? Maybe they're just so eager to get on with a company that they don't really, they sort of skim over the contract. Yep. Everything looks fine. They sign, done, right? Read everything in full. If there's anything you don't understand, don't just take their word for it. Oh, this just basically says, but there might be some things in there that you might not want to agree to, right? If they're promising you, X amount of money, and everything, look at the actual breakdown of it, ask for proof, okay? The TLTF, which was authorized as part of the bipartisan infrastructure bill in 2021, was created by the FMCSA to investigate and assesses and potentially regulate truck lease purchase agreements. The group was tasked, among other things, with determining if the agreements act as a distinctive to safe operations, including noncompliance with hours of service regulations. Okay, lease purchase in and of itself is not necessarily what we're trying to stop. There are legitimate programs out there, right? So as I kind of mentioned a moment ago, make sure that you're not falling for one of these pitfall programs out there. Said TLTF member Caitlin Long, director of economics for the Teamsters Union. Long pointed out at the meeting that fellow task force members Joshua Kraus runs a truck leasing company. The problem is when the entity leasing the truck is the same entity that has an exclusive carrier agreement with the driver, which can lead to drivers into a cycle of indebtedness with the carrier where they feel they don't have any options. Okay. The task force highlighted a case in which a carrier estimated that only 5 to 10% of its lease purchase drivers successfully completed their leases. And of those who didn't, roughly half ended up being indebted to the company. The TLTF is formalizing specific recommendations to bring before the FMCSA, including that the agency consider banning motor carriers from offering truck lease purchase arrangements to independent operators and drivers who are also required to be exclusive drivers for the carrier. Okay. Outside of banning such arrangements, the task force is considering a recommendation that the FMCSA provide new rules or statutes that offer restitution and easier avenues for recourse for affected drivers to provide more accountability in the industry, as well as add more enforcement responsibilities to the FMCSA oversight. Okay. If you've been caught up or almost caught up in one of these predatory truck lease programs, I would really love to get your feedback on that. Leave me a comment down below. It not just for my own self, but for others out there that are watching this video, down the line. Any tips, advice, sort of a learn from my experience kind of a thing, to help warn other drivers. Okay. So, help warn others. Leave a comment down below. Like I said, that would that would be really awesome if you did. That being said, I hope everybody's having a fantabulous Monday. We're gonna rock out a new week, right? If anybody needs to reach out to me, if you have anything that you would like to share with me, anything that you would like me to discuss in upcoming videos, feel free to email me, freightmasterresources@gmail.com. I pretty much keep this, that email monitored pretty well. So, yeah. Like I said, have a great day. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you all again soon. All right. Bye-bye now.